Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Friday, and all of our guests today on this Friday brought to you by our DTMC sponsor. So happy to have them aboard the Whistler Golf Club. Great track as we bring in NHL analyst and you okay? And co-host of the Bob McCown podcast, John Shannon. How are you?
I'm fine. Happy Black Friday.
Same to you. You got shopping on the list today by any chance?
I'm on my way to the $700 club as we speak.
The $700 club? What's that?
$700 club. What's that?
Is that an Ontario thing?
Costco.
Oh, Costco. Okay.
Oh, right.
Well,
Costco.
for me,
because you go in, you're only going to go buy cheese and a salad. You end up with $700.
Oh, that's so true. I was just going to say that. Very good. The $700 club. I'm writing it down.
That's true.
Yeah, you can use that one. That's I might patent it, but I call it the $700. It used to be the $300.
No, it's different now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All broadcasters steal.
We know.
Okay, before we get to hockey, what did you make of the Grey Cup attracting some 9 million viewers at different points on Sunday? Television.
Yeah, I love how TV networks are allowed to take numbers and make them feel like anything they want. Obviously, the 9 million is reach.
Yeah.
So at some point or another, 9 million Canadians sampled the Grey Cup. I was actually there, so I was thrilled to be there because it was a great football game. Mm-hmm. The second half was electric, and if people were sampling it, then that's just fantastic. It proves, I think, to a lot of it happens more often than not, guys, and you've seen it with the history that both of you have with the CFL that. We always have a pretty good championship game, and we can bank on that for the offseason before we start worrying about the CFL next year.
Yeah, I think one thing that attracts television viewers, whatever the number is, there were a lot of people watching a good story, and the Alouettes provided a very, very good story and an entertaining football game.
And the other thing is, give the CFL credit and their concert promoter credit for the Green Day concert was really good. I'm not a music guy, but I enjoyed the Green Day concert, and that would have drawn a lot more non-football fans into the mix. And then if they stayed for 5 minutes into the second half and the Alouettes scored, all of a sudden they got a football game. So it was the right thing at the right time, and you could certainly see the momentum of the Alouettes' defense in the second half. They were fun to watch.
What goes through your mind as we switch to hockey? What goes through your mind when you watch the Edmonton Oilers play these days?
Unmitigated disaster. Almost inexplicable, except, we've seen lots of teams over the years, guys, where 12 players have career years and everything just falls into place and the world unfolds like you could never imagine. Well, this is the exact opposite. No one is playing well. And that includes 97, that includes 29. The two guys that I might give a pass to are Zach Hyman and Evander Kane. But Ryan McLeod has not scored a goal yet. Connor Brown, when he's in the lineup, has not scored a point yet, I don't believe. The defense has not had a strong start to the season, including Matthias Ekholm, who started the season hurt. It is I don't want to say comedy of errors because I don't want to insult some of my friends. But I'll tell you what, it is everything bad happening at the same time and over a longer period of time than anybody could have imagined. And that, to me, is the fascination of watching this car crash.
John, the fact that the Oilers are desperate to make a trade, they can't make one. Look around the NHL, there's no trades. The Canucks have been aggressively out there for about 3-4 weeks trying to look. I mean, it is a tough environment right now to make a trade in the NHL.
Yeah, although Rick, I would tell you that whether it's what our part of the business has done or what social media has done, how many trades really ever occur in the first 20 games of an NHL season anyway? And I don't have any scientific records, nor do I have any log books of trades over the years. There aren't many trades that happen before American Thanksgiving. There just aren't. The pressure that has been put on teams to try to make change because of whether your team is not playing well, like Edmonton, or salary cap issues. Those are the things that we haven't seen before, and you wonder how much pressure that can be brought on. We're within 2.5 or 3 weeks of having the trade deadline freeze before Christmas. So all of a sudden, we're looking at January for anything that might happen for most of the teams in the NHL, and then it goes back to how you manage the cap. So I'm not one of those guys, other than the obvious, you make trades to shake up your team. I'm not surprised that it has taken this long, just because it doesn't normally happen anyway.
John, Rick Bowness back in the Winnipeg dressing room this morning. I saw some video this morning shaking hands with the players. He took a leave of absence, health reasons for his wife. How good to see him back in the game.
Wow, what a great story. I had a brief conversation with Rick this morning about Judy's health and the fact that he's back coaching behind the bench against. There is some, I guess it's not irony, but it's just coincidence. He's going to be coaching against Paul Maurice, the former Jets head coach, in Florida tonight. And the Winnipeg Jets really are one of the best stories of the NHL. The cautionary tale there is, guys, they were a really good story at this point last year too. And they have to learn how to sustain it. They had a terrible second half of the season. But if they can maintain some level of continuity and consistency, they have more depth this year. There's no question about that. And what Scott Arniel has done in Rick's absence was truly remarkable.
Yep.
And you can only hope from that perspective that Rick can maintain what this club has done. They're a really good hockey club. They've got so much depth now. And the Gabe Velarde, it looks like he's a good chance he's going to be back on Sunday. So the Jets are one of those teams that are pointing upwards, as opposed to what we see with a couple of other Canadian teams.
Yeah, Dubois and Wheeler, they've lost them, and no problem so far anyway. Okay, very quickly, John, in The Athletic, Alex Ovechkin had this to say when talking about 05-06 in the wake of the canceled season. We saved the league, and by we he means himself and Sidney Crosby. We saved the league. We come in, and I guess they come in, the kids, and I guess we're old news, but we saved it. Do you understand where he's? Maybe you don't agree with all his choice of words, but do you understand where he's coming from?
No, I don't. I never heard Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux after the '94 lockout say we saved the league. I never heard Bobby Orr, who played on one knee, say he saved the league. I just don't think it's in the DNA of a hockey person to say those types of things. I don't hear Sidney Crosby saying it, by the way, either. Here's in my now. Were they part of the success of the league after the lockout? Yes, they were. There's no question about it. But this was at a time when, there were 2 years still, guys, where Ovechkin did not appear in Vancouver at that period of time. It wasn't as if they were in every arena all the time.
The unbalanced schedule.
But there were rule changes that changed the game. I think that was probably as impactful, if not more, that allowed Ovechkin and Crosby to have a bigger impact in the game with power plays. And I know I'm old school. I know I'm old school, but when you talk to players who play 20 minutes of a 60-minute game in the ultimate team sport, rarely do you give credit to the guy that says, "Hey, look at me. Hey, look at me." This to me, this was Alex Ovechkin trying to do his best Clint Eastwood impression of saying, "Hey, get off my lawn."
But we like it because we're doing a talk show here, and it provides
Yeah.
fodder.
Oh,
So
no.
I'm all for it.
No,
Love it.
listen, the fact that Rob Rossi was able to get him to talk about that, good on him. You can never, ever criticize Ovechkin for not having. Well, I guess he does have some opinions that we don't hear about, but at least a hockey opinion. And you can't knock. And I'm not knocking how prolific he has been on the ice. It is just so much out of the nature of hockey players to talk like that. We're just not used to it. We're just not used to it.
John, thanks for this. We'll talk to you next week. Oh, sorry,
Hey,
one more
listen,
thing. Yes.
thoughts and prayers to Andy and Carla Moog up in Penticton.
Yep.
Andy's a great man. The Moog family mean a lot to the city of Penticton, and Andy's fight with cancer, let's hope he can come through with flying colors.
Thanks for making us aware of that, John. We saw your tweet earlier today as well. Appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Cheers.